Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. The armed forces is facing serious challenges on different fronts, from rumors of internal rumblings as the rift between the administration and the Duterte camp intensify, to an escalation in tensions in the West Philippine Sea after the Chinese Navy harassed Philippine vessels, turning the situation in the contested waters more military in character. Then there was the battle in Congress for a return of some 10 billion pesos slashed from the defense budget that placed the modernization program in uncertainty. Let's get on point with the spokesperson of the AFP. I finally meet her in person, Francel Padilla. Colonel.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being here and welcome to the show.
Thank you, ma'am Pinky. It's really very nice for us to be here.
All right. Let's start with the budget. That was talked about, I think about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, that the budget of the D&D was actually slashed by 10 billion pesos. And I believe that 10 billion was supposed to go to the AFP modernization. Was that restored?
Yes, ma'am. So the latest that came from the Senate was they restored the full 50 billion to original budget for the modernization program of the AFP.
And where are we in terms of the modernization? I understand, obviously there is a law. I guess it's good to talk about this. There is the AFP modernization law that requires an annual budget, is it of about 75 billion pesos, if I'm not mistaken, to be able to modernize the AFP?
Yes, ma'am. We're well within targets in terms of Horizon 2. So these are in tranches. We have Horizon 1, Horizon 2. And for Horizon 3, we are moving towards it, but it was renamed to Horizon 3 because we have seen the new frontiers out there and we have to shift our focus to the modern warfare, so to speak. And so for the Horizon 3, we shift our focus from internal security operations to territorial defense. So we are more heavily on maritime assets, aerial assets, and cybersecurity.
And what does that entail? In layman's terms, what is the Horizon 3 when you say that you shifted to territorial defense?
Our focus in our procurement of assets and the resources will go heavily on maritime assets and aerial assets.
Such as?
We'll be procuring different, actually the Armed Forces already given our wish list, ma'am, for the D&D. But in terms of what will really be approved, it's for the Department of National Defense to confirm.
Yeah, I understand that. But para po sa amin that are not well aware of the, what is needed for the territorial defense, ano ho ba yung mga kailangang i-procure?
In terms of maritime assets, ma'am, heavily more on bigger vessels, of course. And we will be shifting our focus to electronic systems and command and control systems to improve our communications and how we would be detecting the presence of different foreign entities that are coming in our aerial and water features. So those things, over and above that, we also want to give focus to aerial assets, so more aircrafts for maritime patrols as well.
I see. I guess this also brings to fore the report recently about the submarine, hindi ho ba? The Russian submarine that was, paano ho ba yun? Tama ba yung word na detected? Because, is it detected if it's above water? Kung nagpakita po siya sa taas ng tubig, yun pa rin ho ba yung tatawagin na it was detected?
Yes, ma'am, it's surfaced and we have below surface limited capability. So ito po yung mga i-improve natin as we modernize, no? And of course, our cyber systems as a whole. Malaki po kasi yung usapin sa cyber domain, so we need to also modernize in terms of cybersecurity.
At dun sa hindi nakakaalam, si Colonel Padilla, ayun ang iyong forte. yung cyber domain, hindi
Yes,
ba?
ma'am. And we're really glad that it's now the fourth domain of operations of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. And we're now having, bago lang pa ma'am na launch ang Cyber Command. Opo.
Okay. So with that, there was also something that I read. There was also a report about a 1 billion rent for some support for the naval fleet. I browsed upon it. Could you explain this to us? Na I think we might want to look for something else for our naval fleet po.
I don't have the exact numbers as to how much it would cost, ma'am, no. But as I said, we have been submitting the wish list from the Armed Forces of the Philippines. So nakita naman po natin with the technology that we have on where dapat tayong mag-improve. So yun, mga radar systems po natin, more on communication systems for detection nga, and how we would interoperate with different services, no. So yung huling exercises po natin kinonduct is called the AJEX Armed Forces of the Philippines Joint Exercises. So, dagat, langit, and lupa. So, ang tinignan natin dito, ma'am, is internally for us to become independent from other factors. We can do our defenses on our own. So dito sa exercises na to, nakita natin how we want to improve our armed forces in terms of our capabilities.
And how much is the budget again now that was so far approved sa Senado?
50 billion.
50. But isn't it true that the law mandates about 75 billion annually?
I don't have the exact
Okay.
details on that, ma'am. It's the Department of National Defense who could answer that.
So right now we have 50 billion, but this is still going to be discussed at the BICAM.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So baka maiwan, baka tumaas, or baka it may be reduced. We'll see. Let's talk about the West Philippine Sea because of the need of our armed forces, both sa himpapawid at sa dagat, to modernize. Very recently also, there was again harassment in Philippine waters in the West Philippine Sea, Bajo de Masinloc, where the Chinese water cannoned, sideswiped, rammed Philippine vessels. But according to the National Security Advisor, Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya, he was actually saying, sorry, let me repeat that. That's Assistant Director General, I believe, Jonathan Malaya. He was saying that this incident is a little bit different than what we saw in the past. Why? Because this involved the plan or the People's Liberation Army Navy. Tama ho yun, of China. Let's listen to what Sir Jonathan said.
This is really the first time na plan ship na ngayon ang nanghaharang. Dati, yung plan ship nasa malayo lamang, gaya ng Philippine Navy ship natin na nasa malayo lamang at hindi mong nakikialam or nagwa-water cannon or gumagawa ng dangerous maneuvers. So, the fact na siya na ngayon yung nanghaharang, yung Plan 500, is really alarming to us in the Philippine government.
At sigurado. Again, that's Assistant Director General of the NNC. Just a reaction on that. Medyo kakaiba na po ito, Colonel Padilla.
Yes, ma'am, no. Ang reaction po in terms of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, as I said kanina, we are shifting from internal security operations to territorial defense. So ang tall order po sa atin at the start of the year is for us to finish the ISO within the year. And we can say that we are well within targets kasi isa na lang po yung weekend front, no, na tinatapos natin sa ngayon. There are a lot of areas that have already been declaring insurgency free. And because of this, we are now being able to shift to territorial defense. So more of our personnel and our assets na shift na po dito po sa ating usapin sa West Philippine Sea. And with that, tuloy-tuloy po ang pagpapatrolya natin. We have more vessels to use kasi nga na-shift na natin yung focus. So tuloy-tuloy po yung patrolling ng ating Philippine Navy on a regular basis po dyan sa area.
When the Philippine Navy patrols the West Philippine Sea and such incidents happen, what really happens is what we see on video is that the Philippine Navy ships sometimes are there, but they're far away, hindi ho ba?
Yes,
Kaya ho naiiba ito nangyari ngayon kasi yung Navy ng China ay lumapit na, hinaras na, binuntutan na yung ating pong Coast Guard and our BFAR ships. So now the question is, panahon na ho ba para yung Philippine Navy ships ay lumapit na rin tuwing may mga ganitong siguro plano ang gobyerno to, well, number one, resupply mission, and number two, of course, to give aid to our fishermen?
Yes, ma'am. Ang maipapangako po ng Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas, ma'am, no, is we are conducting all of these patrols and we are nearby. And so for law enforcement operations, ang front pa rin po natin dyan, ang pinaka-primary po natin is still the BFAR and the Coast Guard. But as the need may be, we from the Philippine Navy and of course the whole Armed Forces of the Philippines will support in terms of law enforcement operations.
Was there a plan after this incident to have a Philippine Navy ship be part of the next journey, whether to give ayuda, magbigay po ng ayuda sa mga fishermen, or for a resupply in Ayungin Shoal?
With that, ma'am, no, we'll leave it to the ground commanders on how they will do their operations on the ground, so to speak. So sila, ma'am, yung nakakakita doon sa situation on the ground and the areas, and tiwala naman po ang higher headquarters that they will perform their mandate accordingly. So kung ano po yung mapagkasunduan nila as ground commanders, very close coordination naman po yan, no, in BFAR, Coast Guard, and the Navy. Tuwing may ganitong operations, ma'am, lahat po nagko-coordinate naman
Wala
po
po kayong
sila
makakwento sa amin na may coordination recently na sa susunod ay nandun po sila at kasama, nearby?
What we can assure, ma'am, is we are doing close coordination, and of course we will be continuing to perform our patrol missions accordingly.
The question really here is, it's a civilian ship, hindi ho ba, versus a warship. Kaya ho, BFAR ang pumupunta dito kasama ang Coast Guard kasi that is considered civilian.
Yes, ma'am.
That is civilian in nature. Kapag pumasok na ho kasi yung Navy, ibang usapan na ho yun. Kaya sinasabi, what happened recently was a little bit of what you can describe as an escalation kasi pumasok na po yung Navy ng China. So I guess we have yet to see what the plan of the Philippine government will be. Talks of destabilization have also been being discussed recently because of this political noise. We're going to talk about that after the break. Our discussion with Colonel Padilla will continue. This is On Point. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. Still with us, Armed Forces spokesperson Colonel Francel Padilla. Ma'am, the House Committee on Good Government was supposed to invite two individuals who are part of the security detail of Vice President Sara Duterte. They are Colonel Lachica and Colonel Nolasco. To the House hearing sana on Monday because for context, sila po yung security officials na ibinigay ng Special Disbursement Officer yung pera ng confidential funds to these two individuals. But I don't think they will be invited on Monday because apparently there is an internal investigation ongoing. What is the status of that?
They will still follow, ma'am, no, kung ano po yung subpoena that is given to them. On the part of the AFP po, we're still looking at the merits of the case, and for our end po, kung meron siyang administrative implication, then we will act on it accordingly and do our internal investigations accordingly then.
When you mean administrative issues, what would that be?
Yun nga, ma'am. So that's why we're looking at the merits of the case, no? Kaya magkakaroon din kasi ng investigation doon. So kung ano po yung sa side ng AFP, because we also have our own courts internally to the AFP. So doon po, no, pag-aaralan po ng ating mga eksperto from the armed forces, ano po yung pwede na aksyonan in terms of internally ng Armed Forces of the Philippines.
And internally, that would be court-martial, tama ho ba?
Yes po.
Oo, yun medyo strict kayo sa court-martial proceedings, hindi ho ba?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. But they are already being investigated.
Sa ngayon, wala pa po, ma'am. So
Wala pa.
we're looking at the merits of the case first, kung ano po yung possible na ano. So we're leaving it to our JAGs, no, yung ating mga attorney dito internally in the armed forces. And yun po, pag meron po kaming nakitang cause for us to conduct the said investigation, then we will do so
I
accordingly.
see. So wala pang investigation. Meron na pong investigation, tama ho ba, by the lawyers of the armed forces. They are looking into the merits
Yes, ma'am.
of the issue. Kasi wala namang kaso.
Wala pa pong kaso.
Opo. But pag may nakita po silang, tama ho ba yun? Is it gonna be probable cause sa Army? Ganun din ho ba yun?
Yes, ma'am. Kung meron po, then that's the time po we will conduct the investigation.
I see. So, they have not been summoned?
Not yet po.
They have not been called?
Wala pa po, ma'am.
They have not been returned to headquarters?
Sa ngayon, ma'am, under process po, no, yung kanilang orders.
What is under process?
Kasi ma'am, pag ganyan, meron kaming process to follow, ma'am, kung saan dadaan yung request for transfer of personnel until it is given due orders. Because for every sundalo, ma'am, no, it takes but an order. So we follow orders. Sa ngayon po, under process, wala pang na-release na order for them para po ma-transfer ng unit or kung ano pa pong ano.
And
Sa ngayon,
saan
it's
manggagaling
status
yan,
quo.
Colonel? Yung directive para ma-transfer po sila?
In that case, ma'am, they are under VPSG and it's under the Presidential Security Command. So, ang orders po niyan will come from GHQ po.
I see. So, clearly, the Presidential Security Command, the former Presidential Security Group, has not called or recalled Colonels La Chica and Olasco.
Wala
Would
pa
that
po,
be
ma'am.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, are they still with the Office of the Vice President?
As of the moment po, until the orders are issued.
I
ma'am.
see. When will the orders be issued? And will they be issued? Ganun ho ba?
It's under process. Yun ma'am, kung kailan po matapos yung proseso, then when the orders are already posted po, no, pag na-publish yung orders na yun, then mayroon pong effectivity yun.
I'm a little confused, Colonel. Please help me understand the situation. I do recall General Bronner saying that, is the word recalled, that the two, or at least Colonel La Chica, was going to be recalled because of that skirmish. Yung pinailan po ng kaso ng Quezon City Police District, QCPD filed a case against Colonel La Chica, hindi ho ba? Because of that disobedience and that scuffle supposedly that happened when Attorney Zulaika Lopez was being transferred from the veterans to St. Luke's, hindi ho ba? What happened there? I thought that Colonel La Chica was supposed to be recalled.
Yes, there will be temporarily replaced. Kasi nga po, makikipagtulungan ng Armed Forces of the Philippines to the investigation that's gonna be conducted. So because po may subpoena for them, syempre, they won't be able to perform their duty at their utmost dahil they have to respond to the subpoena and the proceedings nga po ng case. So that's why they will be temporarily po na replaced.
Okay. So, but you just told me earlier that they're still with the Vice President.
Yes, ma'am. So, wala pang dates yung subpoena nila. As
I
soon
see.
as, basta kung kailan na po nila kailangang mag-process, ma'am, and attend all of those hearings, they will be given, they will be, i-allow sila, to attend dun sa hearings na yon on the dates that are
So,
given.
they're still with the Vice President, but once gumulong na po itong investigasyon o itong kasong final ng QCPD sa kanila, ay
They will be temporarily replaced.
temporarily replaced.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is the status now then of the security detail of the Vice President? Because I do recall because of that, sinabi ni General Bronner, sinabi pa nga, I'm not taking over. Hindi ho ba,
Yes,
sabi ni
ma'am.
General Bronner, the security or the security detail of the Vice President, but I will bring in new people. Sino na ho ba yung, napalitan na ho ba yung kanyang security detail?
Sa ngayon pa, hindi pa, because nga po, hinihintay natin yung orders to be issued. But it will be a mix nga po from the police force and the AFP. And so yung pong sa police force, there's a team na po na dumating and they're under PSC na po.
Okay. And how many from the military will replace? Lahat ho ba doon sa military security ni Vice President ay papalitan ng bagong batch?
Sa ngayon, ma'am, wala pa kasi pinaprocess pa po, no? Kung sino po yung mga involved sa subpoena and kung sino po yung mga involved dun sa investigations that will ensue.
So only those that will be part of the investigation will be temporarily changed.
Sa ngayon, ma'am, I don't have the actual list if totally or partially. But yun nga ma'am, kung sino po mostly may involve, sila yung priority. But hindi ko pa nakita ma'am yung order if it's the whole.
Okay,
it's the
but
whole
how
batch.
many military personnel are part of the Vice President Security Group?
Dati kasi ma'am, meron silang fixed na number. But recently po, prior to all of this that are happening po, no, nag-merge kasi yan under one umbrella unit. So yung VPSG, dati po, hiwalay siya. So ngayon, it's under the Presidential Security Command na. So parang the numbers are no longer relevant because yung buong PSC, pwede na po silang ma-channel to different engagements.
I understand, but there is a number right now that is securing the Vice President. How many are they coming from the military?
Nagva-vary po siya, ma'am. Kasi ang operations po namin dyan sa security po, whenever we have engagements, we determine yung threat dun sa area, how big it is, how big a crowd do we have to secure. So dun po magre-request yung team leader. So we have security task action groups, what we call them, no. So for example, ma'am, it's a big event. Sasabihin niya, I need around 500 troops kasi libo yung tao doon sa ano yan. And then we will pool that n number of ma'am.
Yeah, but
troops.
I think you're presupposing that if there is a need for extra, what I
Yes.
want to know is on a regular basis, how many members of the military are part of the security group of the Vice President?
Yun nga ma'am, under na siya ngayon ng PSC.
PSC.
So nag-merge na po siya. So the numbers are now not vice, not with president, but one whole PSC.
Okay. So what happens is hihintayin na lang po kung gumulong po yung kaso with, tama ho ba, Colonel La Chica. And if he needs to respond, obviously, and appear in court, that's when there's going to be changes
Yes, ma'am.
in the security of the Vice President. Again, we're going to take a very short break. We'll continue our discussion with Colonel Padilla. Stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. I'm Pinky Webb. You're still watching On Point. Still with us, Armed Forces spokesperson, Colonel Francel Padilla, with the political noise, as I mentioned a while ago. Colonel, talks of destabilization plots or concerns, keep surfacing. What is the Armed Forces doing right now? Is there such a thing as a loyalty check that is being done at the moment, or at least in the past weeks?
Wala ma'am, no? Ang sinasabi nga namin dyan, 100% there's no noise inside of the Armed Forces of the Philippines that's happening. So prior to even all of this, ma'am, no, talaga namang nag-iikot na ang ating Chief of Staff, si General Romeo S. Browner Jr., and talaga po nagkakaroon siya ng talk to troops. And what we can say now is we have seen how the Armed Forces of the Philippines has evolved into a very professional organization. So yung mga tropa po natin, they're now highly skilled with all of the exercises that we conduct with like-minded nations as well. So nakikita nila yung potential, no, of growth in terms of their skill sets. And of course, yun na din pong being in the service as a whole, no, and keeping things as a barometer of peace, so to speak, na kami po yung leveraging on level ground lagi. So, when you talk to the troops, they're very high morale in terms of...
Are they really mataas yung moral?
Yes, ma'am, because yung surveys show that mataas ang tiwala ng taong bayan sa sandatahang lakas ng Pilipinas. So it's actually the fuel that propels us to perform our duty more and our mandate more. Yung lumabas sa survey, 8 out of 10 Filipinos trust the AFP.
When was this?
I think a month or two ago, ma'am. Octa survey gave the results, 85% of trust rating, no, over any other agency. So 8 out of 10 Filipinos trust the AFP, and 7 out of 10 Filipinos are willing to fight with the AFP. So yun yung ng sundalo, ma'am, kung ang taong bayan, nandun yung sense of nationalism and patriotism, and they're very much involved now with the talks on West Philippine Sea. Parang mga kababayan natin, meron na silang inclination na,
say, yeah.
They have a say, no? So,
the voices are louder and louder now.
Yes, ma'am. So, yung Armed Forces of the Philippines, ang feeling namin, the support ng taong bayan nandyan na din sa amin. So we might as well really show them that we're going to perform this mandate of protecting our sovereignty to the letter.
Colonel, do you think that will change because of the happenings recently?
What we say, ma'am, is that we are not looking into color, but country. So, yung bansa po talaga ang nandyan. So, as our Chief of Staff has already stated, no, ang loyalties po ng bawat miyembro ng Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas is to our flag and to the Constitution.
But hindi ho ba, well, tao din kayo. And in fact, we had former Senator Trillanes recently, and I asked him the same question about destabilization plots or even concerns. Sabi niya, meron pa rin mga loyalist na kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, but are they gonna take action? He said, that's a different story. So, are you saying that walang man lang concern or siguro loyalty kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte or even Vice President Sara Duterte for that matter?
Kami kasi, ma'am, ang loyalties namin is to the position, not to the person. So if we say Vice President, kung sino po yung nakaupong Vice Presidente, to the President, kung sino pong nakaupong Presidente. Of course, hindi po natin may iwasan yan. Tao po ang Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas. We are entitled to our own opinion. But we have made a sworn oath of loyalty. So yung loyalty na po ngayon is to the flag and to the Constitution. If you're not happy with the situation you're in, then ang sabi nga sa loyalty, ma'am, leave the organization and damn to your heart's content. So while you are under the umbrella of that organization, then your loyalty should be kung ano po talaga yung sinumpaan mong tungkulin.
But if there are, as Senator Trillanes said, members of the military who remain loyal to the former President Rodrigo Duterte, are they being monitored?
Meron naman tayong units, ma'am, no, who's handling all of this. Siyempre, every time we get reports, we act on it. No? So, yun naman.
Are you getting any reports?
That is not something that I can divulge, ma'am, no? As our operational matters.
Okay.
But ang pagkakaintindi po ng bawat isa, kahit naman po meron punto sila na gustong ipalabas doon, meron pong tamang proseso para gawin yon.
I see. Okay. So you're confident. Are there even whispers or rumblings at the slightest siguro barometer, merong mga ganon?
If there are, then we will look into it accordingly, ma'am. With our units, meron naman po tayong intelligence units and we will act on it accordingly.
And there's been no threat so far?
No threat so far, ma'am.
None at all?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Colonel Francel Padilla, ma'am, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am Pinky.
And you have a good weekend. And that's On Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.